Hello, this is Ronette with Freedom and Passive Income, and today we are going to talk about alternative asset classes. And if this is your first time watching, the purpose of this channel is to empower you with tips, strategies, and information to help you transition from paycheck to paycheck to freedom and passive income. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and download my free ebook, and it's called Make, Manage, and Master Your Money. So before we get started, I just want to give you a reminder that before you start looking at investing in income producing assets, you want to make sure that you've done at least three things: that you've implemented the instant pay raise strategy, that you have a minimum amount of savings of at least $1,000 for an emergency fund, and that you've started your debt snowball. Once you've done those things, then you want to start looking at investing into income producing assets. In the last video, this is actually an extension of the last video. In the last video, I explained that I subscribe to the philosophy of Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And what he explained was that the masses have not been properly educated on personal finance. And most importantly, we have not been properly educated on cash flow, and we have not been properly educated on asset classes. You may be like myself. I was told that to have a properly diversified portfolio, I needed to have different stocks and bonds in different companies, and that was a diversified portfolio. But it really isn't. It's one asset class, asset class out of the four. And you can check out my last video. I talked about paper, which will be your stocks and bonds, gold and silver, which will be precious metals, having your own business, and real estate. And this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about alternative asset classes. This is a little bit advanced, but I think that on some level, everyone, if this is something that you're interested in, if you've got any other asset classes started and you want to diversify your portfolio in venturing into these asset classes, then I think it would be a good idea. I have. And I'm only going to talk about a couple because the ones that I'm most familiar with, they're the alternative asset classes that you will hear most often talked about will be hedge funds, private equity, and commodities. And a lot of financial advisors, financial gurus, they will tell you that gold and silver would be considered commodities. I guess that's true to a point, but it's, your commodities really are going to be like oil and any of like grains and stuff like that. Those are really commodities. I don't really consider gold and silver to be commodities. If you look at history, gold and silver was considered real money before we started using paper currency. So I really don't consider gold and silver as an alternative investment nor a commodity. I consider that to be real money that a lot of people are either going back to, or they have always had that as part of their portfolio to protect the purchasing power of the rest of their assets as a form of insurance. So those are, and then you have like, you have art, and you have like collector's items like coin collection. Some people collect vehicles, art. I mean, there are a lot of different things that people collect, which will be considered collectibles, and that will be another asset class. The additional asset class, or the alternative asset class that I also have, would be cryptocurrency. And a lot of people have heard of cryptocurrency. Most people associate cryptocurrency with just Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, so it's like the mother of cryptocurrency, and it encompasses about 50% of that segment of the cryptocurrency environment, and the rest are what you consider alternative coins or altcoins. And so the second would be like Ethereum, and then you have Litecoin, and I'm not going to go into all of the rest, but those are the two types of asset classes, alternative asset classes, that you might want to look into, like collectibles and things like that, and or cryptocurrency. If you're interested in a cryptocurrency project that I'm that I've gotten involved in, and you can take a look at it. I've been investing in cryptocurrency since, let me see, this is 2021, since 2000, I'll say 2017, 2018, something like that. And it's definitely, you definitely have to do your research. It's not something that you want to just jump into and not understand what a blockchain is, not understand what Bitcoin is. If you've never looked at cryptocurrency, it can seem a little bit intimidating, but there are a lot of videos online that will explain to you the basics of blockchain technology and how it works. And it's really not that difficult. So if you just start there, and then I would just, if you're interested in cryptocurrency, one thing that you're going to need before you can get into any other projects is you're going to need Bitcoin. So if you get educated about blockchain and Bitcoin and start purchasing Bitcoin, you can hold it while you are investigating and learning about all the other different projects. And so that will be my suggestion for you. I don't want to make this video too long. I may do a video on how to buy your first Bitcoin, but like I said, there are tons of videos about that. But I just want to bring it to your attention that will be a very good fifth asset class to look at, and that's something that Robert Kiyosaki is really encouraging a lot of people to do is to look at cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in particular. Bitcoin is good to get started, but I think that you can have a lot more upside potential if you at least diversify into one or two other alternative projects. Bitcoin I don't see Bitcoin doing a 100x or anything like that within a year. Whereas if you invest in the right alternative project, then you could see that type of return within a year. There are no guarantees with anything, but if you're willing to hold your investments for the long term, not looking for any type of get rich quick scheme or anything like that, then cryptocurrency and a couple of good alternative projects will be a very, very good addition to your portfolio. And it can also provide somewhat of a hedge to what's going on with the financial markets. If you've noticed, a lot of countries, I live in the USA, the government is printing a ton of currency. I don't consider that real money. I'm going to do a video about that. But they're printing a ton of currency. And when you do that, then you dilute the purchasing power of the population. And it's really a form of theft. It's we have lived with inflation for many, many, many years, and most of us don't know anything but inflation. But the truth is, when you look at history, inflation did not always exist. Inflation did not exist before 1913. 1913 is when the Federal Reserve was established, and part of their objective, or one of the things that they were responsible for, it was to create some type of stability in the market. But the way they set things up, they created inflation, so it seems like it's stable, but at the same time, over the last 100 or so years, our purchasing power has been stolen. And so one of the things with cryptocurrency, one of the reasons why Bitcoin was developed in 2009, which is right after the 2008 crash, was based upon an effort of an individual to try to empower people to not rely on a centralized government or a centralized entity to be responsible for their money and their purchasing power. And it's just basically a form of freedom. So you want to definitely keep your eye out on what's going on with cryptocurrency. If you're not ready to look at alternative projects, that's totally understandable. If you just want to just get started with the basics, something that's pretty, air quotes, safe in the crypto world, then Bitcoin is where you would get started. And then you can just get a little bit, just enough that you're comfortable with, so that when you are comfortable with moving into another project, you will already have your Bitcoin in place. So anyway, that's all I have for this video. I just wanted to share that with you, that in addition to your main asset classes, you do have opportunities in alternative asset classes, which will still diversify your portfolio, provide you with and the reason that you want to diversify your portfolio is because you don't want to have the same risk exposure for your entire portfolio. Each asset class has its own risk exposure, and by having different risk exposures, all of your portfolio is not exposed to one type of risk, which is what happens when you just invest only in paper, which is stocks and bonds. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful to you. If it was, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you can get all of my other videos that will be coming up. Please be sure to download my free book called Make, Manage, and Master Your Money. And there are a lot of free bonuses and resources in that book in addition. Anyway, all the best to your success, and I will see you in the next video.